Hello, crafting friends. I'm Doreen DeSebus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Simply Stamping Sunday. I can't believe we're at the end of the month. It's unbelievable that March is almost over. It's gone by so fast, and luckily we had 5 Sundays in March, so we're at our 5th week of the beautiful butterflies, and I'm so excited to have one more night to share with you this beautiful set. Now, last week I shared with you 1 fold and 3 different cards that were very different. Tonight I'm going to continue that and share 3 more cards, and I could even share more, but this is how far our week takes us. So let me share with you. Hi, Bonnie. Thanks for joining. Let me share with you just a reminder of what we did last week. So this was our first card last week, and we just did a basic Z fold, and that was the first card. Excuse me. This was the second card, and if you remember, this is what it looks like if I was going to set it down flat, and this is what it looks like. You get it? It's been in an envelope all week, so it's not wanting to cooperate, and then it's going to stand just like this. So that's how you'd see it if it was standing. And then our third card was this one, where we made a little pop-up card, stand card, and we put the space on here for the butterfly. So that's what this one looks like. Hi, Roz. Thanks for joining tonight. So tonight we are going to continue this, and we are going to make 3 more cards. Okay, so here is our first card. So this is what this card looks like. It still has that Z fold, but notice I have cut a piece off of the cardstock, and then I have added all of my images. So let's see how we're going to make this card. I made these so long ago. I put sticky notes to remind myself what I will be needing to do. And this is just a little pattern I kept. Okay, so we are going to be using, again, the exact same basic white thick cardstock that has been scored at 4 1/4 and 2 1/8, and it's the same size and scoring for every single card that we're going to do tonight. So I'm going to just fold this card so I have a nice crease. I'm not going to fold the score mark yet because I'm going to be doing some cutting on it. And what I am going to do is I am going to, if I open this up, I'm going to be cutting from the score line down to this point. So I want to measure, so from this score line down to this point. So I want to measure 2.5 inches. So let me just grab my ruler and get it to the right side. And I am going to measure 2.5 inches down. And just put a little mark there. You probably can't see the mark, I know you can't, but so what I am going to do is bring out my cutter, and I'm going to line that mark and my score mark where I folded the card. I'm going to line that up, and then I'm going to cut that piece off. So now this is what the card looks like, and then I can fold this over just like I would if it was a Z fold card. So it looks like that now when it's folded. I have here a 4-inch by 5 1/4 piece of the Bloom Impressions Designer Series paper. That's what I was using last week, and I said I would continue to use it this week. So I'm just going to add some onto the inside of my card, I'm going to be stamping on a piece that measures 1 inch by 3 inches using the beautiful blueberry bushel. If you need a really bright blue ink, this is the one for you. So I'm just going to ink up my stamp, and I'm just going to stamp this right in the middle. That's why I was checking on my original to make sure I'm stamping it in the right place. So there we go. That is stamped. And then on my piece here, I'm just going to add a scrap. I'm going to be stamping in blue the medium-sized butterfly. So I'm just going to be stamping that all over the background. And I think that looks pretty good. That is going to be mounted, so I didn't tell you the measurements of that, but please remember that I will be posting all the measurements in the comments once the video is over. This measures 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, so I'm going to put this on a piece of 3 by 4 cardstock, so it's going to go on nicely like that. What I tried to do in these 6 cards was use all 6 designs of the Designer Series paper. So there we go. This is going to go right across the front of this, and it's going to go from a portion of the cardstock. Then I have these 2 pieces. We're going to be putting one piece actually on this side. So this is going to go here, and this is going to go here, but we need to do some cutting. And that's where this little piece comes into play. So I cut this from my other card, and I'm just keeping it as a help. So this is going to go, this is the, this piece here will fit in this spot pretty good. And it's going to go this way for here. And so what I need to do is to figure this out. I could just go back in and measure down. I am going to put, this is going to go right up in the corner. So all I really need to do, I believe I'm going to be right on this, let's hope, is I just need to cut this little edge off. And that should fit right in that space now. And it does. I'm going to just take a wee bit more off. But what I did is I just measured down on my first scrap, and then I just left this to help me get the angle correct. So there's that first piece, and now I need to use this way on the other piece. And I'll probably have to trim it just a tad. Oh, I went the wrong way. Well, that was really dumb. Oh, no, I didn't. I just grabbed it wrong. Okay, so let me just, I grabbed what I was using as my, there we go. Okay, we've got everything set now. Just move. So I'm going to just add adhesive to put these papers in. And I decided to use the back of this to just bring out that beautiful green color. And then it can bring out the beautiful green color from the other design of the designer series paper. So there we have that piece. And then this piece, we're going to put that on here. I just love how this designer series paper matches up and coordinates. Yeah, I need to cut this just a tad more. There we go. I just wanted that other piece to give me a nice, how the angle should be. Okay, so we've got that said and done. So this little piece over here, I'm going to be using that beautiful blueberry bushel ink again to stamp one of the butterflies. And it just gives it such a beautiful color, stamping it right on the colored designer series paper. Hi, Lynn. Thanks for joining. And then I'm going to cut that out. And again, due to the magic of TV, there we go. Let me just put these aside. And I am going to just be putting that on the front of the card, and I shouldn't have put my blue ink away because I'm also going to stamp a butterfly on the inside of the card. And that is going to go in first because it is easier to line up the top piece if you put it on the bottom piece, the inside layer. And I'm going to center it on the inside. And then when I put this piece on, I want it to cover that piece. So I'm only going to be putting adhesive right over here. And I'm not going to be putting much because it's not going to need, and I only want it on this part. Let me just get my adhesive eraser that I have somewhere over here. Maybe not. Well, I'm going to have to erase that. I put the adhesive up a little too high. I don't want it to stick to this. All right, so the only thing left to do is to add this butterfly, and I'm going to put some dimensionals on it. The one thing I forgot to put, nope, I have them right here. And this is just going to go on the front of the card. Get these in my little bucket. Well, we did not get as bad of a storm as they were predicting, and that was good. We didn't get any ice. And this is our first card. How beautiful is that? All right, so our second card. Again, I left myself a note. This time, we're using the whole panel, the whole card front as our stand-up card. So this is what it looks like when it's standing. This is what it looks like when I'm this end right here. So pretty. What I think I'm going to do that's different, after I made this, I wasn't sure, I thought this looked a little too chaotic for me. So I'm just going to stamp right on the paper, and I'll show you how I'm going to change that. So again, we have the piece of basic white thick that is measured 8.5 by 5.5, and we have scored it at 4 1/4 and at 4 1/4 and at 2 1/8 Hi, Joyce. Thanks for joining. So you did get some ice. I was wondering. I was thinking probably Dublin and Hancock definitely got some ice. I was glad we didn't. We lost cable and internet for a little bit, but it came right back on, so we were good. Okay, so to get this card all set up, we need some of the Designer Series paper, and I went with all of the greens. These are the other sides of those greens. We're going to be using let's see. Make sure I have everything. So this is going to go on the front, and we have, that's what we're missing. We're missing the smaller piece of green. Oh no. Now I remember. Sorry about that. I totally forgot. I wanted to show you that when I was cutting up all the paper, I realized I didn't have enough of this green. See what happens when I didn't leave enough sticky notes, I guess. So what I did was I had enough to cut the big piece for the inside, which is really what I needed. I really had to have that one. But then on the piece for the front, which is going on this, I had, this is 5 1/4 by 4. Move this aside. I didn't have enough for 5 3/4. 5 by 3 3/4 to fit on this paper. But I had 2 pieces that I could put, and then I'm covering it with this piece of green. So I knew you couldn't even realize. And I could have even cut these smaller, but they were already cut, so I just left them like this. So what I'm going to do with these 2 pieces is I'm just going to layer them on the background. So this is just a nice trick for when you don't have enough paper to do something. If you're using, you can always use a piece to put in the middle, and it will cover up any seams that you have, that you've created. So there we go. You probably can't see the seam. I can see it and feel it. So in this, I'm going to do some stamping first, and I'm going to use some of the Memento black ink. First thing that I want to stamp is that happy birthday greeting. And I'm going to stamp that in this lower right section. There we go. Then I'm going to take the stamp after I clean it. Today I cleaned all of my blending brushes because I don't like it when I end up with all my blending brushes being just ugly from using them so much. And I've been doing a lot of blending butterflies right on like this. And then I am going to stamp one on this piece to cut out, and I'm going to stamp the smaller butterfly on the solid piece of green and cut that out. I do my cutting beforehand because there's no reason for you to watch me cut. So this piece is going to go right along the center and cut and cover those seams that I just made. And I'm going to match them up right to the edge, so you can't even look at the piece of paper and see that it has some seams on it. I'm going to add some dimensionals to the butterfly because I want this one to pop up, and I'm already happier with those being on a solid background. I think with the floral background and then the florals on here, it was just, I didn't like it. I mean, it's not awful. It just was too chaotic for me. So now I'm going to put this right in the middle. It's going to overlap those butterflies a little bit. So this is what the front panel of the card is going to look like. So with this being on, and I've got that folded the wrong way, so I just have to turn this fold so that it's going to stand like this. And then what I'm going to do is put this on the front of the card, but I'm only going to adhere it to this bottom panel right here. So I'm just going to be careful that I don't go up too far. So now I'm just going to center this right on the front of the card. And then I want this to stand, but it's not really going to stand by itself. So I'm going to add some dimensionals to this tiny butterfly. And the tiny butterfly is going to be our butterfly that's going to hold this card open. So I'm just going to put the butterfly where I want it to be. And now you can see how easily that is held open. And it will close. That inside doesn't add too much of a thickness, so you have a beautiful birthday card. Okay, so that was that. And card number 3 is this card. And I've added a little band that's going to hold the card in this position. So you can't hold it flat, but just like that. So the first thing I'm going to say is that for this piece, excuse me, for this piece right here, you would probably want to write on it before you put it in the card. I still can write in it. It just would probably be easier. So I love this fold. So excuse me, so what do you need? You need a piece of paper so that we can stamp our butterfly again. A scrap that is going to, excuse me, I guess my throat is a little too dry. So you're going to have a scrap of the designer series paper, the color of your choice, one of the solid colors. We're going to be using Petunia Pop, and I am going to just stamp one of the butterflies right on it so that it can be cut out. And of course, I have one already cut out. So I'll just put this in my pile that I need to cut out later. For the front of the card, we're going to need, and I'll go all over these measurements. I just want to make sure I'm using the smaller piece. Yes. I'm also going to be stamping on the smaller piece of white, which measures 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. I'm going to get out that piece of paper again, my scrap paper, and I'm going to just stamp 3 butterflies on this. This is a pretty small piece of paper. There we go. And down here in the bottom, before I do anything else, I want to stamp my hello. So I left a space for that. There we go. And then the one other thing, I'm going to just grab the butterfly. I don't know why I was thinking I didn't need it. I put it away. I'm going to take the little spots, and I'm going to put it on a block. And I'm not going to put a ton of start to fill in these different spaces of white. I'm going to leave some white. I'm just not going to totally fill it in. There we go. Now, for this one, you are again going to need, so I'll just set that aside, a piece of basic white thick cardstock that measures 8.5 by 5.5, and like the other cards, you're going to score it at 4 1/4 and 2 1/8. I'm going to fold this over just like a Z fold. All right, and I have a piece of, this is so pretty. I love this floral paper. The back is the blue, but I just think these flowers are so pretty. This piece measures 2 by 5 3/8, so that is going to go on the front. So we'll just add some adhesive to it and put it right here on the front of the card. Just get the extra adhesive rubbed off. There we go, so that is there. On the inside of the card, we are going to be using another one of those pieces of designer series paper that measures 2 by 5 3/8. And this is going to go on the inside of the card. So it's going to go right next to that piece of paper. And then I have a larger piece that measures 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to go right in, put it 5 3/8. But when I fill everything in with the, I can put this up at the same, but I'm going to cover that bottom piece of paper, so it's okay if there's a little extra there, because this piece is going to be covering it. Okay, so I have a piece of 1 inch by 8, I believe, and 3/4 of an inch by 8. I'm going to add some adhesive and attach this piece on to this one, and then we're going to be scoring this at 4 6 inches to make that fold. I also have 2 pieces of the designer series paper that measure 3 by 4. I have a piece that measures 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So one of these is just going to go on, and it's going to cover the, it's going to go into the inside of the card. And I'm going to put this butterfly right here on the inside of it. There we go. And on this piece, I am going to put the smaller piece. I cut it smaller because I didn't want, because again, that piece is going to cover this, so I didn't want my hello to not be seen. So I cut this one a little shorter because of the piece that's going to be going over it. Again, when this is closed, I just want you to notice we want this to cover that inside piece just like we did earlier. So I'm going to add the inside piece first. And then I'm going to add just adhesive to one side. And I'm going to put this on again so it covers that inside piece. So this looks just very familiar to one of our first cards we made. So now what I'm going to do is set that aside, and I'm going to score this at 4 inches and 2 inches. So I'll put it on 4, make sure I'm using the right blade, and then I'll move it to 6. All right. And then I'm just going to fold this, give it a really nice crease. Fold this one in the opposite way. So for my card, this is going to go here, and this is going to go all the way to where the cardstock ends. So let me just add some adhesive here. And add some adhesive here. And we'll get this added. All right, and there's our last card for these 4 cards. I just love it. So tonight we made, of course, this card, this one, 3 more very different cards that go with the same template. And I probably could come up with some more too. And we have these from last week. So that is so excited. I had so much fun with this stamp set. I have not decided which stamp set I am going to use for April, but so that will be a surprise next Sunday night for what we're going to be using. And who knows, maybe I'll throw in some more of these fun folds and some different ideas during the month of April. So thank you so much for joining me tonight on the live, or if you're watching the replay or on my YouTube channel. I appreciate you, and join me next Sunday night to see what set we're going to feature next month. I hope you have a great week. I'll be back Friday night for Fun Fold Friday, and of course I'll be back next Sunday night for Simply Stamping Sunday. Good night, everyone. Have a great week.